Have you ever like gotten to the end of the day and you're like, whoa, where did the time go?
Yeah.
Or like the weekend's over and you're like, I didn't even do anything.
Totally.
Like, is that just how life is, or is there something else going on?
It's so true, right? It feels like the older we get, the faster time seems to fly by.
Right. And that's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at this idea that maybe how we experience time isn't just some natural thing, but that it's actually being messed with by like the way our society is set up.
It's a really interesting idea.
Like, what if all these schedules and deadlines and things are actually controlling us more than we realize?
It's kind of a mind-bending concept, right? Like, what if we've been tricked into this whole system of time that doesn't actually serve us?
Yeah, exactly. And the source material we're looking at today for this deep dive is this YouTube video transcript from a channel called Philosophical Essence.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of their videos.
The title of the video is You Are Being Played, How They Used Time to Enslave You. No beast.
Catchy title.
It is catchy, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty intense, but we're not here to like just buy into some crazy theory.
Right.
We're going to break down the arguments in the video, look at the evidence, and see what we can learn from it.
Sounds good.
So what if there's something here that can actually help us like reclaim some of our time and feel more free?
That would be huge.
Right? Because we all want more time, don't we?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the video starts off with this really strong statement.
Okay.
It basically says that we're being robbed.
Robbed of what?
Not just of money, though. That's part of it. But of our time.
Oh, interesting.
And it equates time to like our freedom, our power, our very lives.
Wow. Okay, so it's taking that saying time is money to like a whole other level.
Totally. And it's not saying that this is just like some accident of modern life, you know.
Right.
It's saying that this is a deliberate system, a setup.
That's a pretty bold claim.
It is. And to illustrate this, it makes a comparison.
Okay, what's the comparison?
It compares this time theft to like someone breaking into your house or stealing money from your bank account.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful image.
Right. It makes you think, why do we just put up with this feeling of constantly being short on time?
Yeah, like why do we accept that as normal?
Exactly. And that leads into the next big point the video makes, which is about our perception of time.
Okay, how we see time.
Yeah, it says that this idea of time as like a straight line.
You mean like a timeline?
Yeah, exactly. From birth to work to death. That this is actually a lie.
A lie. Wow. Okay, so how does the video say we should see time then?
It says that time is way more complex than that.
Okay.
Like it's layered and it loops back on itself, and it can be influenced by our experiences and emotions.
So like how sometimes when you're having fun, time seems to fly by.
Yeah, exactly. Or when you're scared or anxious, time can feel like it's slowing down.
That's so true. I've definitely experienced.
Right. And the video points out that we all have these moments where time seems to bend or warp, but then we go right back to thinking of it as this rigid straight line.
So what does the video say about why this matters?
Well, it says that the system, the powers that be, prefer us to see time as this straight line.
Why would that be?
Because it keeps us stuck in this cycle of working and waiting for some future reward, like retirement.
I say if we're always focused on the future, we're not really paying attention to the present.
Exactly. And we're more likely to just go along with the plan instead of questioning things.
That makes sense.
And this is where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
The video then goes on to say that even the ways we measure time, like 24 hours, 7 days a week, 12 months of the year, that these aren't actually natural.
Wait, so you're saying like the whole concept of a week is made up?
Well, according to the video, yeah. It says that these are all artificial constructs that were created to control us.
Wow. Okay. I've never thought about it that way.
Right. And it specifically points to the week as like a man-made loop designed to keep us working and then give us just enough rest to go back to work again.
Like a 5-day work week and then 2 days off to recover.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're right back at it.
Interesting. So it's saying our whole schedule is based on like industrial needs, not our natural rhythms.
Exactly. And they also bring up the history of time zones.
Oh, yeah. How those came about.
It says that standardized time zones aren't created for like individual convenience, but for the railroads and for the businesses to operate more efficiently.
Oh, that's right. So they could coordinate schedules and transportation across long distances?
Exactly. And the video argues that this is a perfect example of how our experience of time has been manipulated to serve the system, not the individual.
That's a good point. I'd never really considered that before.
And then there's daylight saving time.
Oh, yeah. That always throws me off.
Right, like they just decide to change the clocks and we all have to adjust.
And it does mess with your sleep for a while.
Totally. And the video uses this as an example of how easily our perception of time can be manipulated.
Yeah, like if they can just change it, like that, was it ever really real in the first place?
Exactly. And this leads into the whole idea of time as a commodity.
Okay, what do they mean by that?
Well, think about the language we use around time. We talk about spending time, saving time, wasting time.
That's true. We do talk about it like it's money.
And the video argues that this language reflects how we've come to see time as something that can be bought and sold, traded and consumed.
Like a resource we have.
Yeah, exactly. And it says that when we work for a salary, we're essentially selling our time, our energy, our very lives to someone else.
That's kind of a depressing thought.
It is, right. And the video contrasts this with a natural world.
Okay, how so?
Like a tree doesn't spend its seasons,
Right.
or a river doesn't waste its flow.
That's an interesting contrast.
It's saying that nature operates on a completely different rhythm than this artificial system of time that we've created.
Okay, so what's the next point in the video?
Well, it goes on to talk about the tools we use to track time.
Like clocks and calendars?
Yeah. It says that these tools aren't neutral.
What do they mean?
They say that clocks and calendars are actually instruments of control.
How so?
Well, it talks about the etymology of the word clock.
Etymology? You mean like the origin of the word?
Yeah, and apparently it's related to the word cloak,
Interesting.
which implies that clocks are like concealing something, hiding the natural rhythms of time.
Wow, okay, that's kind of...
Right. And then with the word calendar, it's connected to the Roman word for debt.
Debt. That's weird.
Yeah. It's like calendars are about keeping track of what we owe.
So the video is saying that these tools aren't just for convenience, but they're actually ways to control and manage.
Exactly. And it goes on to talk about how these artificial schedules clash with our natural biological rhythms.
Yeah, like our sleep-wake cycles.
Yeah, exactly. And it mentions things like hormonal fluctuations in women and testosterone peaks in men.
I've definitely noticed how my energy levels fluctuate throughout the day.
Right. And the video says that our bodies have these internal clocks, but then society forces us into schedules that don't align with these natural rhythms.
So we're basically fighting against our own biology.
Totally. And it says that this leads to chronic stress, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah, I can see how that would be.
Like, think about being forced to wake up early when your body is still telling you to sleep.
Ooh, yeah, that's definitely a struggle.
Or having to eat at specific times, even if you're not hungry.
Or feeling guilty for taking a break when you're tired.
Exactly. It's all part of this system that the video calls the time matrix.
Okay, the time matrix, what is that exactly?
It's basically this whole network of scheduled deadlines, appointments, everything that dictates how we spend our time.
So like the rat race, the daily grind.
Yeah, totally. It's like this invisible prison that we're all trapped in.
And we don't even realize it half the time.
Right. It just feels normal to us.
So what does the video say about how to break free from this time?
Well, it says the first step is to recognize that it exists.
Okay, awareness is key.
And then it says we have to start questioning the whole idea of time as money.
Right, because if we're always focused on making money, we're going to be more willing to give up our time for it.
Exactly. And it says that we need to start seeing time as something precious, something that can't be replaced.
Like a finite resource.
Yeah. And it suggests that we should focus on working smarter, not harder, creating value, not just being busy.
That sounds good in theory, but how do you actually do that?
Well, the video has some practical suggestions.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It recommends that we try to align our lives with our natural rhythm.
Like go to bed when we're tired, wake up when we're rested, eat when we're hungry.
Yeah, exactly. It even suggests trying to live without alarms or strict schedules for a whole week.
Wow, that would be a huge change.
Right. But the idea is to see what happens when we start listening to our bodies instead of the clock.
That's a really interesting experiment.
And it also introduces this concept of temporal abundance.
Temporal abundance? What's that?
It's basically about shifting our mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance when it comes to time.
Okay, so instead of feeling like we never have enough time, we start believing that there's enough time for everything that truly...
Yeah, exactly. It's about recognizing that we have more control over our time than we think we do.
Okay, I like that.
And another practical tip it gives is to create dead zones.
Dead zones? What are those?
It's like designating certain times in your day or week where you completely unplug from everything.
Like no phone, no computer, no internet.
Yeah, like a digital detox.
That sounds hard, but also kind of...
Right. It's about giving yourself space to just be present in the moment without any distraction.
I could definitely use some of that.
Me too. And the video also talks about how we need to be aware of and resist temporal manipulation tactics.
Okay, like what kind of tactics?
Things like artificial urgency and demands for immediate responses.
Oh yeah, like those emails that say urgent, but then it's not really urgent.
Exactly. And it says that we should practice slowing down, not feeling like we have to respond to everything right away.
Yeah, taking back some control.
And it introduces this concept of temporal sovereignty.
Temporal sovereignty sounds fancy. What's that about?
It's about taking ownership of our time, saying no to things that don't align with our priorities, and living according to our own values.
So it's about setting boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. And protecting our time like it's a valuable resource.
That makes sense.
And the video even suggests using the tools of the system to our advantage.
Okay, how do we do that?
like setting your status to busy or blocking out time on your calendar.
Ah, so we can use those tools to create space for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's about hacking the system to create more freedom and flexibility.
That's pretty clever.
And it all comes back to that fundamental shift in perspective.
From scarcity to abundance, from linear time to cyclical time.
Yeah, exactly. It's about recognizing that time is not just a straight line, but a circle, a cycle.
And that we have the power to choose how we move through it.
Exactly. So the big takeaway from this video is that how we experience time is not necessarily natural or inevitable.
Right. It's a system that's been imposed on us.
But we have the power to break free from it.
By becoming aware of it, questioning it, and making conscious choices about how we use our time.
Yeah, exactly. It's about reclaiming our temporal sovereignty.
That's a great way to put it.
So here's a question for you to ponder. What if you tried tuning into your own internal clock, your natural rhythm? What if you started making decisions based on how you feel instead of what the clock or the calendar says? Even just for a little while.
That's a great challenge. I think I'm going to try that.
Me too. It might be the first step towards a more free and fulfilling life.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too.